You ready?
Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Nick Vieri from Backyard Bike Shop, and I'm going to show you 6 tools that you should have as a home mechanic. If you're going to work on your bike at home, obviously there's variations of different ones, so I'm going to show you a few different ones and then kind of just put a pros and cons. The first section is going to be Allen keys. You need a good set of Allen keys when working on your bike. If you've got something that's bad quality, you're just going to run bolts and damage things. So as a basic thing, you can start with something like a multi-tool. I love this. I use this more than any other tool in the workshop at the moment. It's from Pedros, and it's got all the main Allen keys you would need to work on anything, and a T25 for a lot of the modern bikes. But a good quality one of these is a must-have. That's probably the first tool you should invest in. If you want to diversify, you can buy fancier stuff. Vera, for instance, do these, the Hex Plus 6s. They're really good. There's a lot of videos online explaining about how they've shaped them slightly differently, and they're just a lot less likely to round any bolts. I like that they're color-coded as well, so it's easy to get hold of off the wall without having to check what number. I just know rate is 6. They also have the ball ends on that side. That's a dangerous thing. If you're not used to using them, I'd suggest not using that too much. It's good for getting at angles, but you still need to be careful because you can really damage a bolt if you don't do it correctly. Version of things are the more what they call a T-bar shaped Allen key. These are really good, but obviously these are just extra stuff. You don't need it. If you've got a multi-tool that can do most things, these are nice to have afterwards. You can even go mega specialist. These from Pedros, the Pro Bit driver is really good. That's really good for adjusting limit screws on rear derailleurs. They've got a few different bits in there. It's just easy to work in, more like a screwdriver. It's not something you would use to tighten up a stem or anything like that. It's a bit more precision. Like I said, these are more of a pro tool. You don't really need it for a home mechanic, but if you're going to get one, yeah, it is nice. I also have my Abbey SRAM tool, which is easy when I'm working on SRAM because it's got all the main bits that I need to work on them already pre-installed.
Would you choose a different Allen key to put in your pocket for a ride, other than what you'd use in a home mechanics space?
Multi-tools for on a ride has got more things on it that you need. So some of them have chain breakers. Mine's got a plugging tool. It's all nice to have. They tend to have shorter bits to them as well. So this is what I use on my bike. It works really well. But if you're going to start doing actual maintenance at home on a bike, some of these parts are really small. You just need to know. So it's still definitely at home worth investing one of these as your everyday thing. There's a lot of stuff. If you're going to assemble IKEA furniture, you can still use this. That is, yeah.
So one for at home, one for on the bike?
One for the bike. Generally, obviously, if you can't justify the extra cost, you can still get away with it. But I'm just saying, in an ideal world. Second set of tools is a really good set of pliers / cutters. Spend the extra and buy a set of Knipex. They will just last a lot longer than anything else. We've used everything from Park Tool, all the main cycling brands. We've even tried the non-cycling brands like Draper. They're good, but these are just miles apart. If you could have only one, buy that, because you can cut things and it works as a set of pliers. If you can justify the cost, I would buy a pair of side cutters as well and a set of cable cutters. These are just really good for cutting your cables. Cuts them really clean so you don't have to worry about them fraying. And they also have a bit to crimp your end caps with. So if you have an end cap, stuck that on your end of your cable, you can just stick it in there and then that'll just crimp it perfectly. Essentially make sure it doesn't fall off. But yeah, I can't recommend these enough. Knipex, so good. This next one is really a short one, but it's just really good. There's different brands. Parksville makes good ones. Quite a few people make them. This is the Pedros version. Chain checker. This is a must have. Most people who take the bikes in for service and then get a mega shock where they need to replace a chain cassette, chain rings and things like that is due to the chain being overly stretched. If you measure your chain and catch it before it's stretched too far, you could just save yourself so much money, because you should be able to get 3 or 4 chains to a cassette if you catch them early enough. If your chain stretches too far, it starts damaging your cassette, it starts wearing out your chain rings, and then when you put a new chain on it, it just doesn't work anymore. So that is a key bit of that's a key tool you should have. It'll save you quite a bit of money in the long run. What I do like about the Pedros one is that it also has a tool on the back for it's what you need to take off chainring bolts. On quite a lot of the older bikes where you need to hook the chain rings at the back to keep them in place. You can buy dedicated tools that just do that. So something like this Bursman one, that does the same thing, but obviously that's just integrated into your chain checker. It also has a chain hook, which is quite nice if you're going to hook the chain together to help you fit split links and things like that. Next one is there for everybody with disc brakes. If you've got disc brakes, you need a tool for 2 things. You need one to, if you take your wheels off every now and then, I suggest resetting your pads. So you need a tool that fits in between the 2 pads and then pushes them all back, the pistons back in. It's also quite good if you've got a seized or sticky pistons, you can hold the non-sticky one in place while you move the other one. A tyre lever does the job perfectly. Obviously it's versatility of being a tyre lever as well. That works quite well. I would suggest not using screwdrivers, even though you can get away with it, it can damage your pistons. Abbey does quite a nice one, which is quite a versatile tool. So it's got the spatula style end for levering out the disc brakes. It also has a rotor truing tool. And then this one's got a bottle opener attached to it as well, so when you finish fixing your bike and you need to open a bottle of beer or something like that, celebrate. That's not a bad tool. If you want to go fancy, SRAM brought this out. That slips into the caliper, and then you put a training pin in it, and then you can just twist this and it evenly pushes the pistons out. Obviously you don't need it as a home mechanic, but it's nice to have. Bursman does a similar tool as well, but essentially just different size brake calipers, drop them in, and then essentially just wind them steadily open. But yeah, like I say, you can get away with the tyre lever, but yeah, you need a tool for, if you've got disc brakes, you need something that's going to help you open up the pistons in this way. The next one, which is, we get a lot of phone calls I've seen in the past where somebody is stripped the bolt and they tell you that they know exactly what a set amount of torque feels like, and I'm just going to say that's just not possible. If you don't know and you've not done this for years, and even if you have done it for years, every now and then you need to check a torque wrench. This is probably one of the most expensive tools you would buy to use at home. There's a range of different ones you can get, so I use this for instance all day long, which is really nice. I've got a 4 Newton meter, 5 Newton meter, 6 Newton meter, so that's just a set torque. There's no setting it just works. You click it on, but if it's just for stems and things like that, that works really well. But if you're only going to buy one to do a lot of stuff on your bike, you might want to invest a bit more in something a bit more substantial. So look at the torque rating. A lot of torque bolts on your bike are going to be range from about 4 Newton meters up to anywhere up to 50 for your cassette or chain set. This one from Topi is quite good because it's digital and you can just set the torque to whatever you want. It comes with a set of attachments.
Do you want to tell everyone about your thumb strength trick?
We run a competition in the shop actually to see who can get the highest torque rating.
And no one's beat you, have they?
Not yet, but I think it's from years of fitting tyres. So essentially, that's on 7 Newton meters now, and then see who can with one hand get it to beep. Got up from there.
What's your record?
12.2. I'm sure there's loads of people out there who can beat that, but nobody in the shop yet. I think James is struggling to get up to 6. That's a really good one, because that one will measure from 4 all the way up to 80 Newton meters. So if you're just going to buy one, that's worthwhile. If you want to buy something fancier, you can go to Vera. So this is a bit more precise, but that'll only go from 2 to 12 Newton meters. So you wouldn't be able to do cassettes or chain sets with that. This one's quite good because what it will do is when you hit a certain torque, it disengages itself. So there's no way you can over torque something. So even though the toe peak one will beep when you get to the torque rating, if you were to still put power through, you will go beyond the actual torque limit. This one you can also switch on and off. So if you just want to use it as a normal ratchet, you can just turn it off. So that's quite good, but that is very expensive. And if you buy one of these, you're going to need a second one with a larger range if you're going to use it on cassettes and on stuff like crank bolts. And finally, if you're really getting into it, which for most people I wouldn't recommend, take it to your local bike shop because unless you know what you're doing, if you do a bit of practice, but there's loads of variations. Every hub bottom bracket's gonna be different, but start looking into bearing tools. And some of them cross over to different stuff. So you can get a very basic bottom bracket tool depending on what bottom bracket you're on, so it won't just work for everything. This will be more specific to your bike, but something like that, you could just fit over bottom bracket cups. That one works on T47 and this one works on most BSA, so Shimano, SRAM, Enduros, BBs, and you can just essentially use it as a lever to screw in or screw out your bottom brackets. If it is a screw in type or if it's something like a torque type where they screw together, that works really well. You can also buy something similar to this, which is the Enduro BBT 007. There's Wheels Manufacturer makes it a really nice one as well that I've used over the years. And what this does is it does a bit of everything. You can use it for bottom bracket, you can use it for wheels. In some instances, depending on fit, you can use it on your pivot bearings. They generally come with a range of different adapters for different bearing sizes. They will also work with press fit bottom brackets to press them in. That's just a really good bit of kit. It spins quite nicely, it's quite satisfying actually. But yeah, that's a good bit of tools. They've just released a new one, which is a bit more in depth, and that spins on bearings over their binds. You can get shorter handles and longer handles, so these just pull out. You can swap them out if it's in tighter spots. Just really nice bit of kit. Other versions would be like this. So like I said, that just basically is a fancier one of these, but if you need more leverage, if your bottom brackets are seizing in or tighter, that's just a really nice bit of kit. But like I say, Park Tool makes some nice ones. All the different bottom bracket manufacturers tend to have their own versions as well. That works really well. But like I said, that should be the last bit of tools you buy after you figured everything else out on your bike. There's probably quite a few others, but these are just the main ones I could think of today.